Welcome to the Nuclear Materials Management and Safeguards System, referred to by the acronym NMMS. Our presentation today will provide an overview of NMMS reconciliation. My name is John Satine. I'm a senior analyst for the NMMS program, with one of my responsibilities being assisting Department of Energy facilities, called DOE sites, in reconciling with NMMS.
My name is Brandon Zach. I'm also a senior analyst in NMMS, with one of my roles being assisting Nuclear Regulatory Commission facilities, identified as NRC licensees, in reconciling with NMMS. John and I will discuss the who, what, when, and how concerning NMMS reconciliation. We will also review some helpful hints when reconciling DOE sites and NRC licensees.
During this presentation, we will be discussing various aspects involved in the NMMS reconciliation. The following topics will be reviewed.
What is the definition of NMMS reconciliation? Who has to reconcile with NMMS? When should reporting and reconciliation occur? How does the NMMS reconciliation process take place? And finally, a review of additional tips for NMMS reconciliation.
Let's first kick things off by providing a definition of what NMMS reconciliation is.
Yes, we'll first provide the specific definition and then discuss in practical terms what this definition means and how it is applied in NMMS.
Thanks, Brandon. The definition of NMMS reconciliation is a systematic process to ensure that NMMS transactional records are in agreement with physical inventory data and material balance records reported by the facility or derived from transactional records. Each type of reportable material is separated by ownership, DOE-owned or non-DOE-owned, as is the material subject to U.S. agreements with foreign governments, known as foreign obligations.
John, let's equate this definition into a practical example. Think of a DOE site or NRC licensee as a financial account at a bank. This financial account records money going in and out of the account through the holder of the account, issuing checks and deposits. In NMMS terms, these items are transactional records.
Periodically, the bank will issue a report to the holder of the financial account, stating the activity that has occurred since the last report. This report correlates to the derived material balance records in the NMMS reconciliation definition.
The holder of the financial account will also determine, from their own records, the holdings that are in their account as of the ending date of the report, which links to the physical inventory data in the NMMS reconciliation definition. The financial account holder then verifies that their calculation of holdings match that which was reported to them by the bank.
This is a basic example of the reconciliation process. As shown in the example, DOE sites and NRC licensees report the movement of nuclear materials in and out of their facilities, as well as any internal activities that may affect their physical inventory.
DOE and NRC facilities also report physical inventory data to NMMS. Material balance records may be reported by facilities or generated from NMMS, similar to that in the bank example. There are additional specificity and nuances for the reconciliation of nuclear materials at DOE sites and NRC licensees, which we will discuss.
Brandon, before we get too deep into this discussion, do all DOE sites and NRC licensees have to be reconciled with NMMS?
Not necessarily, John. The requirements for reporting and reconciliation are different for DOE and NRC.
That's right. For DOE sites, if they possess a reportable unit of accountable nuclear material at the time of inventory, they must report and be reconciled with NMMS. There are 17 accountable nuclear materials for DOE: depleted uranium, enriched uranium, plutonium-242, americium-241 and 243, curium, californium, plutonium, plutonium-238, enriched lithium, uranium-233, normal uranium, neptunium-237, deuterium, tritium, thorium, and uranium in cascades.
For NRC licensees, they must report and be reconciled if they possess 1 gram or more of special nuclear material called SNM. These materials consist of plutonium, uranium-233, or uranium-235 contained in enriched uranium. In addition, NRC facilities must report and be reconciled if they possess 1 kilogram or more of foreign obligated source material consisting of normal uranium, depleted uranium, or thorium.
Now that we know who is required to report and be reconciled, let's discuss when this reporting should take place.
For the NRC, licensees who possess less than 350 grams of SNM are required to report their physical inventory data and material balance records to NMMS between January 1st and March 31st of each year. Those NRC licensees possessing 350 grams or more of SNM must report a physical inventory data and material balance record to NMMS at a minimum of once a year.
DOE sites reporting and reconciliation is based on the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. DOE sites are required to report their inventory at the end of each fiscal year. In summary, all DOE sites report and are reconciled at the end of the fiscal year, while NRC licensees report and are reconciled at various times during the calendar year.
John, now we know who and when DOE sites and NRC facilities are required to report and be reconciled with NMMS.
Let's get back to the definition of NMMS reconciliation and review the activities that are required from the perspective of reporting to NMMS.
Yes, the nuts and bolts on how to report and reconcile with NMMS. There are several key items that are reported to NMMS that are critical to NMMS reconciliation: transaction activity, material balance records, and physical inventory data. Each will be discussed now.
DOE sites and NRC licensees report transaction activity to NMMS based on the same criteria mentioned earlier when determining who is required to reconcile with NMMS. This activity involves shipments, receipts, or internal facility inventory changes of nuclear material involving a facility. These activities are reported to NMMS using the DOE NRC Form 741. Shipment transaction activity is reported to NMMS within 1 day, while receipt transaction activity is reported to NMMS up to 10 days after the receipt.
Transaction activity is one of the 3 key measurements by which reconciliation is performed. All transaction activity reported by the facility after the last physical inventory will be evaluated during the upcoming reconciliation for the facility. This data is used by NMMS to derive material balance records from their last inventory through the current inventory to compare how reported transactions during the time period affect projected nuclear material balances.
Brandon, since you mentioned it, let's discuss the definition of a material balance, the second key measurement for NMMS reconciliation. The material balance is reported using the DOE NRC Form 742. The material balance describes a facility's inventory status for a specified time period for a specific nuclear material beginning the day after the last inventory date. The ending date for the material balance is the actual physical inventory date. The combination of the beginning and ending date is called the reporting period.
In addition to the beginning and ending balances for each nuclear material, the material balance record includes additions to the inventory at the facility during the reporting period, such as nuclear material received or nuclear production. Also included in the material balance record are subtractions from the inventory during the reporting period, like nuclear material shipped or decay. Finally, the cumulative totals of foreign obligated nuclear material, as of the physical inventory, are included.
Brandon, good point regarding the foreign obligations. Foreign obligations are categorized in the material balance records by material type and foreign obligated country. Each of these foreign obligations are reconciled with a foreign obligation transaction activity reported during the reporting period. Foreign obligation verification is an important part of NMMS reconciliation.
To summarize, these material balance records are required to be reported by NRC licensees and DOE sites either by reporting material balance records or by NMMS deriving the material balance records from transaction activity. John, there is a third component of NMMS reconciliation we need to discuss: physical inventory data.
Of course, physical inventory data indicates a facility's nuclear material holdings at a specified point in time. Facilities report physical inventory data to NMMS using DOE NRC Form 742C. The date of the physical inventory must be the same as the ending date for the material balance. As mentioned earlier, per DOE and NRC reconciliations, facilities with reportable quantities of nuclear material in their possession must report an inventory to NMMS on an annual basis at a minimum.
There are two critical areas for physical inventory data with regards to transactions. The first area is the inventory total for each type of nuclear material. This information is identified with the composition code of 899. For each type of nuclear material, the total line, the 899 line, must equal the combination of the DOE-owned and non-DOE-owned ending balances in the material balance. This is another critical validation point for NMMS reconciliation.
But there's more when it comes to the physical inventory data. The second area involves the non-total lines in the physical inventory data and the field project number with owner code G. Each project number by material type is validated with transaction-based cumulative project number totals, yet another important component of NMMS reconciliation.
There are a few final validations that are performed during reconciliation. For each material type, verify that the sum of project number quantities and non-DOE-owned quantities equals the nuclear material total line, the 899 line. Additionally, verify that the sum of project number quantities equals the DOE-owned ending balance on the material balance. Finally, verify that the sum of the non-DOE-owned quantities equals the non-DOE-owned ending balance on the material balance.
So Brandon and I have reviewed the what, who, when, and how concerning NMMS reconciliation. Remember the three key forms used in reconciliation: DOE NRC Form 741, Transaction Activity, Form 742, Material Balance Report, and Form 742C, Physical Inventory Listing. The data from each of these forms are key components of reconciliation.
Should there be any discrepancies during the reconciliation, NMMS communicates with the DOE site or NRC licensee to reach a resolution. Often, a facility may have to issue additional or correcting DOE NRC Form 741s. They may also have to correct a reported physical inventory listing or material balance report through resubmittal of the DOE NRC Form 742 and 742C.
During reconciliation, pay particular attention to cumulative obligation totals by obligation country on the material balance records and project number totals on the physical inventory data. All must be reconciled.
NMMS would like to remind DOE sites and NRC licensees that NMMS report products are available upon request to assist in internal management of their facility balances outside of their required reporting frequency.
In summary, NMMS reconciliation consists of verifying that transaction activity reported during the reporting period matches the reported physical inventory data, including project number balances, and material balance records, including obligation country balances. Physical inventory data must match material balance data.
John and I would like to thank you for your time. Contact NMMS should you have any additional questions on NMMS reconciliation. Have a great day.